competitive for sure. They're going to be flirting with playoff contention as they enter November. And it's because they've got a better, deeper roster. Who are the most underrated players from the offensive side of the ball this last spring? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, who was the most underrated player on the offensive side of the ball this spring?
You know, it was really tough when I was looking and trying to think about, it's like, okay, what would you consider as underrated? And some of the parameters for me is someone that we know is holding it down, but they're not really getting talked about enough. Like, we know that they're doing their job, and it's one of those that it's the person that comes to work, does it, put their head down, get the job done, goes to lunch, comes back, finish their job, then leaves, and you barely recognize they're in and out. But the days that they don't show up to work, everybody knows that they're not there because certain things don't get done. So I looked at that and I'm like, you know who really does something like that? Troy Everett. I think Troy Everett's probably one of the more underrated players out there because when he came back from injury last year, think about it this way, John. When he played in the Texas game 2 years ago in 23, didn't look all that good. He's a little undersized. He's getting beat up by them Texas defensive linemen. So you had to swap him out. So when Caden Green came in, we saw the emergence of him. He leaves. But then Troy Everett comes back this past season and he looks really good and he's bulked up and he's gotten stronger and he's able to handle that line. Again, that second year under Bill Beatonbow, he looked like he was really refined. Gets hurt. When he comes back healthy, you start to see stability at the center position. Like he was your best dude there. You got stability back. So Troy Everett just stood out to me. So it was one of those, you can tell that Troy Everett didn't play in those first few games. You felt it. It was something that was extremely noticeable. You're like, why are we got so many centers? What's going on? Why is the blocking up the middle don't look right? But now that Troy's there, when he got back in place, you saw him pushing people around throughout the SEC. That to me is someone that's truly underrated, and we don't talk enough about him. So if I had to rank everybody, number one on that list right now, Troy Everett.
Yeah, I mean, things got better as the season went along, and Troy Everett is kind of the piece that came along that helped that offensive line get better, the run game get better in particular. Did you still have issues at tackle? Yeah, you did. But at least in the interior, you were a little bit better, a little bit more consistent. For me, it's Zion Kearney. And I get why, people
it's a good one.
Are maybe a little down on Zion. Like the last memory they have of him is the drop in the Armed Forces Bowl. But the dude had big play also in that game. Like he created a big play in that game. He got a lot of snaps as a true freshman. Are all true freshmen Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams? No. Those dudes are unicorns. They're once in a generation kind of prospects that are able to step onto the field and immediately be contributors and immediately be one of the 2 or 3 best players on the football field when they show up. That's not always the case. Zion Kearney, though, has a ton of talent. He was a 4-star prospect coming out of high school. He was a guy that could win in every area of the offense. He could win as a screen guy. He could win in the intermediates. He's got the speed to win downfield. He can be your gadget guy a la Adebo Samuel, taking handoffs, taking reverses. He can help you in the kick return game. He can do so many things for you. And one of Jay's favorite things to mention about Zion is his blocking ability. And that's the thing that's going to get him opportunities to keep him on the field. And now that, listen, no Jaden Gibson, no Giovanni Gibson, and who knows if those guys are going to be ready for fall camp week 1. Well, that gives Zion Kearney an opportunity to go and solidify himself a role before the season starts. But I imagine that even if he's not a starter, he's going to be a rotational piece in that wide receiver room because he does so many things really, really well. Just needs more snaps, needs more experience, needs more exposure. And in an offense like Ben Arbuckle wants to run, that's going to be a little bit more passing friendly. It's going to be a little bit more connected, a little bit more cohesive. I think he's going to thrive a little bit more than what he was able to do last year when the offense was just not good.
Yeah, it was so bland and it was just nothing worked at all. And no, I agree. I think that now Zion Kearney's got the opportunity because he's got a couple of quarterbacks, not one, but a couple with John Mateer as well as Michael Hawkins that's going to be willing to air it out. You saw the connection between Zion and Michael Hawkins. And Michael Hawkins just needs to refine his game. And he refines his game. He's going to probably set the SEC on fire over the next couple of years. And so, but having a quarterback like John Mateer who knows the playbook, knows the system, and can give those tips is going to do nothing but make things accelerate for Hawk. But that's going to do nothing but help also a player like Zion Kearney because Hawkins was throwing him the ball like crazy. Like him and Hawkins were, you could tell they had a cohesion relationship. Same thing with Zion Raging. They had something there. And the unfortunate thing is both kind of dropped really deep passes that they should have caught. But at the same time, there's things that happen when you're a true freshman and things you have to learn. All they're going to do is grow from that. And so I love the Zion Kearney pick because he was one that I thought about the most as well. Because when I'm looking at and you said it perfectly, the one thing that always jumped out at me about ZK is he blocks. He does a really good job blocking downfield. That's critical if you want your run game to be any good. And I think that's where we saw our run game got better when Emmett Jones got in and you saw Gavin Sawchuk have that, big year, right? Rush for 744 yards. It was because the wide receiver blocking got so much better as, the season progressed. He was able to break out and then be gone. That big run he had against Oklahoma State, I'm like, okay. You only get that when your wide receivers are blocking well downfield, and they're blocking every play. You start to see that growth in that as the season progressed, and that's what you need more of. So ZK, fantastic pick. If I really look at others on the list that could really be on there, honestly, Michael Hawkins could be one as well. We've heard great things about him in practice and how he was still lighting it up just like last year. Even after having a small procedure, he comes back, he's healthy, and boom, he's showing out again. And it's like, okay, the thing that helps Mateer keep the job is he knows the system very well, and he's a dude. Like, we know that Mateer balls out. But Michael Hawkins is going to come out there and show up too. And what limited time we'll probably see this year is probably the goal is for him to redshirt. That way you can maintain him having 3 years of eligibility coming up. Hey, man, you get him the ability to get him to play no more than 4, and you get him redshirted, make sure Mateer has a really good year, Hawkins is going to light it up next year.
I'm excited to see what he's able to do in Ben Arbuckle's offense. I really am. I'm excited to see what he's going to be capable of in year 2 at the collegiate level. He showed some promising things as a true freshman in a terrible offense, and that's really hard to do. And I think sometimes we overlook that part of it. For all of those true freshmen that got snaps last year, the offense was not good. The offensive line situation was not good. The wide receivers were up and down and inconsistent. Michael Hawkins himself was inconsistent. The South Carolina game was not great, but he showed some promising things in the Tennessee game and the Auburn game that you look at and you're like, okay, this kid's got something. He just needs time. And I think that's true for all of those true freshmen. They just need time. Give them time, give them development, give them good coaching, give them continuity and cohesion and talent around them. And there's a chance that these guys are going to be stars in the making down the road. It's hard to find guys that have the speed that Michael Hawkins has and the downfield ability that he has as a passer. So if he can put it together and he can learn a lot this season and make some strides either on the field or off the field, in the practice field, in the film room, man, I think the sky is the limit for him. It's got to come together. He's got to prove it out there. But I think he's got all of the ability to go and be a big-time player for the Sooners. And I think that's true for him, for Zion Kearney. And then, going back to Troy Everett, they brought Jake Maikkula in to provide some veteran competition at center. But Troy Everett could hold it down too, man. He's a leader out there, and he's somebody that will get the first opportunity to start. And Jake's going to have to come in and actually snatch his job and prove that he's a better option, because Troy Everett's been here now for this is his 3rd season with the Sooners. And so he's kind of one of the veterans on this team. And I think he's going to go have another really good year for Oklahoma and then pass the torch on to Jake Maikkula for 2026. But there's a lot to be excited about on the offensive side of the ball, especially if they can be competent. It'll be fun to get back to actually scoring some points, especially when we get to SEC play. But on the defensive side of the ball, Jay, who is the most underrated? We'll discuss that coming up next year on Locked On Sooners.